Hello, everybody. Welcome back to World's Shocking Stories. I'm Brad, and with me, as always, is my beautiful fiance, Denise.
Hello, everyone.
So, as we previously did in our part 2 episode, we talked about Flight 11 and 175.
Right.
Today, we're going to be talking about Flight 77 and United 93.
And I brought some
Tissues.
toilet paper to wipe up my tears this time.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm prepared.
So, we are going to go right into movie time because I have a hard time doing it in the middle of these episodes because these ones are tough.
Well, it's not right to break it up like that.
No.
Because this is like, it's pretty full of information and like we're going right into like death. There's no like other stories that we have.
There's no breaks.
Right. We're not going into the story of whoever. We already did that. We're going right into the action.
Right. So, without further ado, let's get into it.
Okay.
Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice.
It's showtime.
So, unlike yesterday, this one's a whole lot easier.
I was hoping it was going to be on the tablet there, but it's on your phone, isn't it?
Yes, it is, yeah.
Okay. I was trying to read the tablet.
Oh. All right.
I'm a cheater.
I'm going to go to September 11th, 2011.
Okay.
10 years in the future.
Okay.
When Beth Emhoff returns to Minnesota from Hong Kong, a business trip, she attributes the malaise she feels to jet lag. However, 2 days later, Beth is dead, and doctors tell her shocked husband that they have no idea what killed her. Soon, many others start to exhibit the same symptoms, and a global pandemic explodes. Whatever that was, whatever it is.
That scared me.
Doctors try to contain the lethal microbe, but society begins to collapse as a blogger fans the flames of paranoia.
Is it Contagion?
Sure is.
Ah, I knew it.
I find it so weird that Contagion is almost exactly what we went through.
I know. I watched Contagion 2020, the very beginning of 2020. I was just like, this is exactly like, COVID.
I know.
Exactly.
It's almost exactly the same. It's like they want to do something like, the higher elites wanted to do something and like, let's just do what Contagion did.
I know. It's like, that's pretty good, interesting story, movie. Let's make it happen. Conspiracy of COVID, right?
Yes, it is. Maybe someday we'll do that one too.
Yeah.
So now we're going to start with Flight 77. And on this day, this was a Boeing 757. I don't know why I said it on this day it was a Boeing 757 because there's not a Boeing 757 on any other day.
You made me snort.
So on this day, it was a Boeing 757. On every day, it was a Boeing 757.
Yep.
And this carried 188 passengers.
Oh, a big one.
But it was only 33% full.
Wow.
With 58 passengers. Because it could carry 188. It only had 58.
It makes you wonder how much, these airlines are making a profit off of us flying. Because, how much does it cost for the fuel, right? And,
exactly.
They must be making a freaking mint.
Yeah, it was only 33% full. So at 7:15 a.m.
That's why we don't go on vacation, because we can't afford it.
At 7:15 a.m., the 2 of the 5 hijackers arrived in Washington Dulles Airport. Khaled al-Mindhar, which we talked about the first episode, and Majid Moqued. Something like that.
Moqued.
Yep.
Okay.
They then got to passenger security checkpoint at 7:18 a.m., where they both set off the metal detectors and were put through secondary screening.
Mm-hmm.
Moqued continued to set off the alarm and was searched with a hand wand, but ultimately he was allowed to board.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You go and look in his prison pocket at that point.
Yeah. Nawaf al-Hamzi and his brother Salim, known as the Muscle, boarded the flight next at 7:29. And at 7:35, Hani arrived at the security checkpoint. The two brothers also set off the metal detector alarm. The screener never actually determined what had set off the alarm, Nawaf may have had an identified object in his back pocket as seen on security cameras.
See, if that actually happened nowadays, you would not be getting on that plane.
No, no. At this time, utility knives up to 4 inches were permitted by the FAA as carry-on items.
What?
Yeah, like now you can't even bring on nail clippers. That's why this
A
attack.
nail file
a
you
nail-
can't
yeah,
bring on?
that's why this attack changed everything. You're allowed a 4-inch knife at this time.
See, I dropped off my son at the airport 2 weeks ago because he had to go to Winnipeg for some training. And he was in the lineup and he's like, I better check, make sure I don't have anything. And he had a pocket knife.
Yeah.
He's like, well, Mom, maybe you should take that because that's going to be gone forever because
Yeah,
they will take
you're
it
not gonna
and
get on
you
with
will
that.
never get it back.
So the 5 hijackers were selected for extra screening. The brothers did not provide adequate identification and were deemed suspicious by the airline check-in. The other 3, because they did not have any check-on bags for the flight, they were held until they boarded the aircraft. So
these people are suspicious and yet they
They don't
still
have
got
bags.
on the plane.
Oh, yeah. Flight 77 was scheduled to depart for Los Angeles at 8:10. Hani and the 2 brothers were seated in first class, while Moquid and Mindhar were selected in economy.
Oh, finally an economy
Yeah.
class.
Yeah, I thought they all were, but maybe I wrote it wrong, but it is what it is. They were there. When the plane took off from the runway at 8:20, maybe you would think that it wasn't full, right? So they probably could have got up there, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Weird. Maybe
Because there's only like
maybe there's more
1/3
people there.
capacity.
Maybe there was more people control back there. So I don't know. Because how would you know that?
Yeah.
Anyway, they were in economy.
Okay.
So when the plane took off from the runway at 8:20, the attacks on Flight 11 were already taking place. Flight 77 reached its assigned cruising altitude of 53,000 feet at 8:46 a.m. This was 4 minutes after the attacks of Flight 175. And the exact time that Flight 11 crashed into the World Trade Center. 4 minutes at 8:50 was the final communication from Flight 77 and ground control. Then at 8:51, the terrorists launched their assault by the report by the commission. The attackers had full control of the plane in 3 minutes. Probably because there was less people.
crap.
There's way less people, so easier to control, I think.
I was just wondering, maybe there was somebody in economy because then they have a better view of all the people on the plane.
Maybe, but they wouldn't know that it was only going to be 33% full, right?
But maybe they just assumed. Like,
Maybe.
I don't
Maybe
know.
the time, I don't know. Or else they could have done their research at this time and knew that this was a lower amount of people.
Yeah.
So the attackers, or maybe it was, if they went in economy, it'd probably be less screening for them, maybe.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. So anyway, the attackers followed the same MO by threatening the passengers with knives and box cutters. But on this flight, there were no reports of injuries or death prior to the crash. When the hijackers breached the cockpit, they spared the lives of the pilot and the co-pilot. At 8:54, as the plane flew over Pike County, Ohio, it began to deviate from its assigned path and started to head south. Then 2 minutes later, at 8:46, the plane's transmitter was turned off and the autopilot was engaged eastbound for Washington, D.C.
Oh, is this the one that goes into the Pentagon?
Yeah.
Okay.
The FAA was aware that there was emergency on board this aircraft because when Flight 11 crashed, the American Airlines vice president ordered a nationwide stop of the airlines.
Mm-hmm.
Air traffic controllers were unable to make contact with Flight 77, and they gave up when Flight 175 hit the South Tower at 9:03 a.m. Between 9:17 and 9:22, Hane broadcasted a deceptive announcement through the public system advising those on board that was being hijacked and their best chance of survival was to not resist. This was their tactic to avoid revolts and chaos that would, he wanted a ransom when they reached ground. So that's what he said to them. He looked for a ransom.
Right.
But Hane was not very good with the communication system. Instead of the message to the passengers, it went to the controllers on the ground.
Just like the last one.
Yeah, just like Flight 11 and 175.
Right. The last episode you did, they had, you played it.
I did, yeah.
The sound bite.
Yeah.
And they were supposed to talk to the people on the plane, but it actually went to ground control.
Yeah, I don't know if I didn't see this one. I don't have this one. But on the flight United 93, I have some audio. So 2 people aboard made 3 phone calls. At 9:12, Renee May made a call lasting just under 2 minutes to her mother, Nancy May. During this call, she made the claim that 6 people forced them to the rear of the airplane. She then asked her mother to contact American Airlines, which she did, even though the airline was well aware of the hijacking at this point.
Well, as soon as there's no reply back when they're calling for all the planes and there's no call back from the pilots, they know something's up.
Yep.
When 2 already crashed.
Yep, exactly. Then at 9:16, Barbara Olson called her husband Ted, who was the Solicitor General of the United States.
Wow.
And he was en route to a recording of the TV show Politically Incorrect.
Oh,
Pretty
yeah.
big show.
Yeah, yeah.
She explained that the plane was hijacked and they were armed with knives and box cutters. She said that they were all moved to the back of the plane and that she called him without the hijackers knowing. 1 minute into the conversation, the call was dropped. Ted contacted the command center of the Department of Justice and he tried to contact the Attorney General, John Ashcroft, but he was unsuccessful. Barbara Olson called her husband again 5 minutes later and asked if he knew their whereabouts. She stated that he asked if he knew their whereabouts.
Yeah, I got you. He asked her.
Yeah, he asked her.
Yeah.
She stated that they were flying over a residential area and he heard in the background that the plane was flying northeast. This is when Ted told his wife about the suicide attacks on the World Trade Center, which caused her to go quiet. It was probably shock due to the silence.
Knowing that this is probably going to happen with you.
Yep. They then reassured their feelings, and their call got cut off again at 9:26. Probably said, I love you, and whatever happens, right? So now at 9:29, the pilot disengaged the autopilot and took over the plane manually, descending rapidly as it made its approach into Washington. The plane was now on radar, but was mistaken for a fighter jet because of the high speed and maneuvers, because it was going fast and it was probably twisting and turning.
Well, I don't think they were the best of pilots, right?
No. So now I think Mindhar was the pilot of this one. Now the plane descended 2,200 feet towards the Pentagon in downtown Washington. Hane now pushed the throttles to full power, so Hane's driving. Mindhar might be the co-pilot.
Yeah.
The wings clipped 5 street lights, and the right wing struck a portable generator, which created a smoke trail. Then all of a sudden, the plane crashed into the Pentagon. At 9:37 a.m., Flight 77 crashed into the Pentagon at 530 miles per hour, and it hit the first floor level. The front of the fuselage disintegrated immediately on impact. Probably the fuselage. I think I wrote that wrong.
Oh, yeah.
So the front of the fuselage disintegrated immediately.
Either I seen this on the news or I seen a movie out of this with the Pentagon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, being hit. Can't remember.
Oh.
There might have been a movie. I don't know.
So the rear of the plane did move into the building through the now destroyed nose of the plane. It took 0.8 of a second to pass through 310 feet and through 3 of the 5 outer rings. Because you ever see the Pentagon, there's the rings.
Yep.
It went through 3 out of the 5.
Yep.
A fireball rose 200 feet into the air. And with the impact so vicious, the 64 people aboard Flight 77 perished on impact.
Yeah.
125 more people in the Pentagon were killed instantly and not long after injuries.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that people in the Pentagon died.
Oh, yeah, there's 125 and then they're either killed instantly or not long after their injuries, but 125 people. There's more than you think, right?
I did not know that. So,
well, they went through offices, right?
Right.
So, and also hit the ground as well. There's probably people on the ground, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there was a military jet deployed to follow the aircraft, and the pilot said that it was difficult to find the plane from the East Coast haze, but he then noticed a large fireball. He assumed that the plane just hit the ground, but upon their closer inspection, he saw that it hit the Pentagon west side.
You can't assume it's just going to hit the ground.
Yeah, he relayed this information to the control tower. 18,000 people worked at the Pentagon, so this could have been way more drastic than it actually was.
Yeah, 18,000 people work at the Pentagon?
Apparently, 18,000 people worked there.
How do you sign up for that job, hey?
and only 125 were killed. Yeah, it could have been way worse. If like, I wonder if they would have hit like maybe the center of the Pentagon or like the middle, it might have been more. But hitting the outside and crashing in, because I don't know. I don't know. It could have been worse though, right?
Yeah, if they went into the center, yeah, definitely.
Yep.
Bet you there'd be a lot of people in the middle there.
There would be, I think. I don't know. I don't really know much about the Pentagon and how it like works.
The structure of it?
Yeah, but
Just know it's an octagon.
I would assume to go to the middle.
Pentagon?
Yeah.
Octagon.
I would assume the middle would create more damage, but I don't know.
Can't assume nothing. We don't know how it's built.
Rescue efforts happened immediately, and all the successful rescues were within the first half an hour of impact. Firefighters were deployed immediately, and within 10 minutes, Arlington County Fire Department took command. But some efforts to rescue people were impeded because of the thought of another plane en route to hit the building again, because the Twin Towers were hit twice.
Mm-hmm.
They might thought a second plane might be hitting this one.
Oh, yeah, that's what I would think.
So they were really worried about, rescuing people when it could be another plane coming in.
Right.
Since, the two planes already hit the trade center. There was no reason to believe that, another plane wasn't on the way.
Right.
The firefighters were working in fear because at any time the structure might collapse, and there were noises coming from the Pentagon that may indicate that, because they heard creaking from the Pentagon, because when it hit, it didn't break the roof part; it went into the bottom, right?
Right.
So they had the roof. So minutes later, at 10:10 a.m., the upper floors of the damaged area did indeed collapse. It was about 95 feet wide and 50 feet deep.
Yeah.
So
that's insane.
Yeah, but there was because those above it, right? But this was an adequate amount of time for people who were the fourth and fifth floors to evacuate before the collapse.
How long did it take to rebuild that?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
So after 11 of the firefighters mounted two-pronged attacks against the fire, the two-pronged attack against the fire, it reached around 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's a pretty big fire.
Wow.
The fire was so intense, regular tactics were not helping. So they decided to make fire breaks on the roof to stop it from spreading, and by 6 p.m., it was announced that the fire was controlled. The cockpit voice recorder was too damaged to retrieve any information, but the flight data recorder did have some information that they could use.
And did they find passports again?
They found Narwaf's driver's license in the parking lot rubble, and all personnel effects were taken to Fort Myer. They found a license.
What the fuck, dude?
Part 4, conspiracies.
That's insane. Yeah. Like, it was 2,000 degrees?
2,000 degrees Fahrenheit.
And they're struggling to put this out, and they had to work on different tactics, but yet his driver's license or whatever is okay?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
I there's some bullshit happening with that. My God.
Yeah, well, that's part 4. The black boxes were found, but no usable segments were found on the tape. Flight 77 would see the loss of the lives of 125 people from the Pentagon and another 58 aboard the plane, including the 5 add the 5 hijackers of 64, but I really don't want to add them to the death toll because
they're worthless.
They're worthless to my eyes. So
yeah, to everyone's eyes.
Yeah, so
except for their own people.
58 innocent people on the plane. So next we're going to go into United Flight 93. As most of you are aware of its movie of the same name,
right?
You may have seen it, and it is a great movie.
We just watched it not long ago.
Yep. This attack was led by Zayed Zara. If you remember him from the first episode, he was part of the Hamburg cell. Zayed Zara. Yep. The others involved were Ahmed Al-Nami, Ahmed Al-Haznawi, and Saeed Al-Ghamdi. GH. I don't know if it's silent or not.
Is Al like a popular thing to have in their names? Okay. Yeah.
Both Saeed and Zayed's passports were found at the crash scene as well.
There's so much bullshit. Like,
I just wanted to point that out.
I'm just getting like a little irritated here that, people are trying to piece people together to find out who they are, but yet passports and driver's license of these killers are found.
Yep. So Zayed's family said that he was an innocent passenger and not a hijacker. But we'll get into that in our last episode on the conspiracies of 9/11.
Okay.
The initial plan was that there was to be 4 teams of 5 men, which I've talked about, right?
But one guy
But this
couldn't
one
go.
only had 4 members.
Right.
The missing person was named Mohammed Al-Quanti, because after the one guy couldn't make it in, they got another guy, but he was questioned. I think it's Quantani. But he was questioned by officials who doubted that he could support himself with $2,800 in cash, and that he planned to become an illegal immigrant, and he was sent back to Dubai, and then he returned back to Saudi Arabia.
He told them he wanted to become an illegal...
No, he only had $2,800.
Oh.
So they believe that he is going to become an illegal immigrant, because he had nothing to support himself.
$2,800
It's not that much
nothing.
money.
No.
So he was denied.
Yeah.
About time they denied somebody.
Took a lot.
Yep.
You can go on with pocket knives and stuff, but you don't have enough cash? Nope.
Yep. So now at 5:01 a.m., Zayed called Marwan, who hijacked the flight 175, and this was most likely to confirm that the attacks were still a go.
Right.
The flight was scheduled to go from Newark International Airport to San Francisco. There were 44 total passengers, and the hijackers and crew included. The 4 hijackers checked in between 7:03 and 7:39. Of all the hijackers, only Hasnawi had an issue getting on board. But with the extra screen, he was ultimately let on board, citing nothing unusual.
Of course.
The hijackers all boarded and proceeded to their seats in first class, while Zayed, before he boarded the plane, made several phone calls. 5 calls went to Lebanon, 1 to France, and 1 to his girlfriend in Germany, who we talked about the first episode. The day before, he sent a letter to her saying that he loved her. The flight was supposed to leave at 8 a.m., but it was delayed to 8:42. Remember, like when you watched the movie, it was delayed by like, a lot because there was heavy congestion on the runways.
Right.
By the time United 93 was in the air, Flight 11 was almost about to hit the North Tower. Flight 175 had already been hijacked, and the hijackers on Flight 77 were just about to make their move. With the attacks being broadcasted to all airlines, the air traffic controllers were issuing warnings to the flight crews. Ed Ballinger was a United flight dispatcher, and he was in charge of issuing cockpit warnings to his fleet. He sent the message to Flight 93 at 9:23 a.m. And at 9:24, they received the message and said, "Beware of any cockpit intrusion." 2 AC aircrafts hit the World Trade Center. At 9:26, the pilot, Jason Dahl, was puzzled by the message and responded, "Ed, confirm last message, please, Jason." At 9:27, the flight crew responded to routine radio traffic from the air traffic control, and this was the last communication from the flight crew before it was hijacked.
Yeah, because they were communicating through tablets.
That's right.
And not just, through radio, but tablets.
Yeah. So now...
Getting text messages kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm just going to get my tissue here because I know I'm going to cry.
Okay, you ready for the first one?
Yeah.
They want this week. They want this week.
You hear him song "Mayday, Mayday, Get Out"?
Yeah.
Okay, you want to hear another one? This was at...
My heart just kind of like stopped. Like, that was
made by Leroy Homer. And this is another one made by Leroy Homer. Mayday, get out of here. We're all going to die in here.
Yeah, I heard.
Morning, Cleveland, United 93 is with you at 350. Intermittent light stop. United 93 checking in 350.
United 93, 350, roger. United 93, that traffic for you is 1 o'clock, 12 miles eastbound 370.
Negative contact, we're looking, United 93.
Somebody call Cleveland. United 93, verify 350. United 93, verify your flight level 350. United 93, verify your level of 350. United 93, Cleveland. United 93, Cleveland. United 93, if you're here, Cleveland Center, ident, please. United 1523, did you hear your company, did you hear some interference on the frequency here a couple of minutes ago, screaming?
Yes, I did, 797, and we couldn't tell what it was either.
Okay. United 93, Cleveland, if you hear the center, ident.
An American 1060, a ditto on the other transmission.
American 1060, you heard that also?
Yes, sir, twice.
Roger, we heard that also. Thanks. I just wanted to confirm it wasn't some interference.
Is that 956?
Victor 956, go.
Oh, we were just answering your call. We did hear that yelling, too.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, we're just trying to figure out what's going on.
Captain, please sit down. Keep remaining sitting. We have a ball aboard. So, it's
Calling Cleveland Center, you're unreadable. Say again slowly.
Sir, did you hear the transmission where the airplane that said he had a bomb on board?
Say again. Was that United 93?
Yeah, that transmission he said was unreasonable. It sounded like someone said they have a bomb on board.
That's what we thought. We just we didn't get it clear. Is that United 93 calling? Executive 956. That aircraft we believe was transmitting is 12 o'clock, 5 miles. Turn left heading 225. I'll get you away from him. Okay, he's climbing, so I want to keep everybody away from him.
Okay, I think we got him in sight.
Delta 1989, that traffic for you is at 11 o'clock and 15 miles southbound. 41 climbing. Looks like he's turning east by heading 360.
Here's the captain. I would like to remain seated. There's on the board and going back to the airport and hand over demand. So please remain quiet.
Okay, it's United 93 calling. United 93, understand you have a bomb on board? Go ahead. Executive 956, did you understand that transmission?
Affirmative. He said there was a bomb on board.
And that was all you got out of it also?
Affirmative.
93, go ahead.
That aircraft he can't get a hold of, is he turned to the east now?
He's just turned to the east also. United 93, you're here, Cleveland Center. Okay, American 1060 and Executive 956, we just lost the target on that aircraft.
Okay, 956, we had a visual on him, just stand by.
Do you have a visual on him now?
We did, but we lost him in the turn.
You can make a turn back to a 220 heading. Let me know if you can see him.
Yeah, he's still there. We got him for 956.
You still there? Northwest of you, about 25 miles?
Affirmative for 956.
Executive 956, fighting 180.
Hey, we're making a turn for 956. He appears to be heading right towards us.
American 1060, do you see anybody northwest of you? Can you see back that far there?
We're looking now, sir.
United 93, Cleveland, do you still hear the center? United 93, do you still hear Cleveland? United 93, United 903, do you hear Cleveland? United 93, United 93, Cleveland. United 93, United 93, do you hear Cleveland Center?
Do you see any activity on your right side, smoke or anything like that?
Negative, we're searching. Yeah, we do have a smoke puff now at about, probably 2 o'clock. It appears to be just a dark cloud, like a puff of black smoke.
So you could kind of tell there that he was doing like the other planes. He was supposed to talk to the people on board the plane, saying that we have a bomb, please, comply. But he hit the wrong button. Obviously, it went to everybody else, and you can see how panicked they were. Like, holy, like after 3 planes have already been hijacked. You know about it, and then this one as well. That must have been pretty scary. So, the cockpit was breached at 9:28. And by then, you may have known that the 2 planes have already struck the north and south towers of the World Trade Center. Of all the other planes, the hijackers struck within 30 minutes. Like, they all struck really fast. Remember I told you they struck it as it got to the cruising altitude? But this one took over 45 minutes for the hijackers to attack. As you heard in the clips of the pilots shouting Mayday and get out of here, it was confirmed by their wife later that it was their husband's voice. And I bet listening to his last words, like of your spouse, in distress, is probably one of the hardest things to hear. Because
knowing that
he's yelling Mayday, get out of here.
He's scared.
The plane then dropped 685 feet before the hijackers finally got it stabilized. United 93 was the only plane that was hijacked to get out a distress call. And it was believed that this was only because the other hijackings that took place, the message was sent out to the fleet that they're able to see the situation that they were in. Because after that message that was sent out to the fleet, they knew that...
Although the fleet was told that there was the Twin Towers had been hit. Yeah. So they knew there was something going on.
Beware of breach of your cockpit. Right. So they were able to get the distress call, the Mayday, out before they breached because they knew what was happening, that this was happening on their plane as well. Yeah. The air traffic controller believed that This was not just a call for help, but a warning, and the pilots flipped the switch so that the intrusion and what happened in the cockpit was to be heard by everybody listening on the ground. So they thought that it wasn't just like, get out, Mayday, get out. It was for, they flipped the switch to hear the people coming into there. Into that. That's why he heard that one. But then when he took control, he was telling people to comply.
Yeah.
He must have hit the wrong switch again to go.
Seems like they're training. They all had the different switch that they were trained on.
Exactly. And he might just hit the wrong one.
Yeah.
So the one thing which was really weird to me, and I will talk about it in more detail in the next episode, was that Zayed remained seated until the aircraft was in complete control of the hijackers before he took control of the plane. So no passengers saw that he was even involved. Like, remember I told you that his parents didn't think that, whatever. He didn't leave his seat till the aircraft was in control, and the people were already in the back. Nobody saw him do anything. Because they always say there was only like 4 hijackers or something,
right.
But yeah, he apparently.
Is that the one that was sitting there, like in the movie?
The first guy in the front, yeah.
They kept saying, "Now
let's go,"
and he was not going anywhere.
That's right. So in the phone call, which we're going to go over, stated that they only saw 3 hijackers. Zayed came on the radio and made 2 announcements, which I'm going to play for you right now.
Okay.
They got them please sit down. Keep remaining sitting. We have a bomb on board. So sit.
Keep remaining in your seats. We have a bomb on board, so sit. That was what that said.
Hi, here's the captain. I would like to all remain seated. We have a bomb on board and are going to take the airport and have our demand. So please remain quiet.
I heard bomb on board.
Yeah, he said, please remain, I'm the captain now. Please remain quiet. I have a bomb on board, and we are going back to the airport. So please remain seated. That's what he said. So it looks like he's trying to say that they are going to, you're going to be safe. We're going back to the airport. But in reality, everybody knows that planes are going down, right? So just like Flight 11, where Adam made this mistake, so did Ziyad and flipped the wrong button. Instead of announcing to the passengers, it was sent to the air controllers in Cleveland. So the passengers didn't hear that. It was sent to Cleveland.
Oh, okay.
That's why they have recording of it. The captain, Jason Dahl, may have been badly hurt. And in the recordings, he was saying no more or just no numerous times. The commission believes that he was pressing buttons in the cab while laying on the ground hurt. And he may have disengaged the autopilot and rerouted the plane's radio frequency so that Zayed cannot communicate with the passengers, but to air control. So he may have been, just hitting buttons. Nobody knew what was going on.
It sounds like he knew he was going to die. It was last-ditch effort to help everyone.
It was, I think, yeah. Debbie Walsh, who was the first-class flight attendant, could be heard on the recordings struggling with the hijackers and pleading to them, "Please, please, don't hurt me." At 9:35, the plane's autopilot was engaged to head east, and at just over 40,000 feet, the air controllers directed the aircrafts to avoid United 93's flight path. Because, did you hear that one in the earlier recording said he's coming for me?
Yeah.
So they're telling people to stay away from this plane.
Yep.
It would have probably been known to Zayed of the other attacks since a message was sent to all the planes of the warnings. So he probably saw the warning on the plane that those ones hit. So he knew that it has happened, right? At 9:40, it was heard on the recordings that they were having problems with the autopilot, and one of the hijackers asked another about the green known in Arabic, which he responds, "Yes, that's the one." The green one, I think it was, I think it wrote known, but the green one, the green button.
Yeah.
So it was in Arabic as well. Now let's get into the calls that were made from the flight.
Oh, okay? God.
I don't have audio, obviously, but the calls started at 9:30.
Oh, you don't have audio? Because I have a few audio.
Phone calls?
Yeah, on TikTok there's a few.
Oh, yeah. I'm not putting those on there. If people want to listen to them, they can listen to them. I'll just read what they say.
Okay.
The calls started at 9:30. The passengers and crew made 35 calls from the plane, and 2 were from cell phones. I'm wondering why there were so many more calls on this flight than the rest. Maybe because there was less hijackers on board and it was harder to control everybody. And they're probably in the air longer as well. So, Tom,
well, this one had a bunch of phones behind people's seats.
they all do though.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, they'll have them. But with the other ones, there was more hijackers, so they control the people better. This one here, you got two in the cockpit, so you have two people controlling the people on board, right? So, I mean, they probably didn't have as much control as they thought they did because they did charge the cockpit, right? So, Tom Burnett made several phone calls to his wife, Dina. He explained that the plane had been hijacked by men claiming to have a bomb and that a passenger had been stabbed with a knife and that he believed the bomb threat was a ruse to control the passengers. Tom told his wife that the passenger they stabbed was dead because they failed to find a pulse. So they stabbed somebody.
Yeah.
Dina told her husband Tom about the other planes being hijacked and where they crashed, and that's when they pieced together what was happening. And Tom then heard the hijackers talk about crashing the plane. At this point, Tom realized that the hijackers were on a suicide mission.
Yeah.
He then asked his wife the details of the other attacks, and he would interrupt her to tell the passengers, like he asked her what happened, then he would stop her, tell the other people on board.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, Tom hung up. The next call between the two, Dina told Tom of the attacks on the Pentagon, and Tom relayed this information to the other passengers. Tom told his wife of the plan he and the other passengers had concocted, and they were going to fight back and take over the plane.
You have to.
Yeah. If you're going to go down with a fight.
Yeah.
He ended this last call to her by saying, "Don't worry, we're going to do something." The passenger that Tom had reported to have been stabbed was by best guess of the commission to be Mark Rothenberg, because he was the only first-class passenger not to make a phone call. So they all made phone calls but him, so they thought the person who stabbed was this guy.
Oh, okay.
Hasnawi was seated right behind him, so he may have attacked him to set an example to the other passengers to comply, just like the other planes. Like, remember the guy was behind him? And
Yeah.
yeah. Lauren Grancolas was a passenger on board and left a message to her significant other, Jack. "Jack, pick up, sweetie. Can you hear me? Okay. I just want to tell you there's a little problem with the plane. I'm fine. I'm totally fine. I just want to tell you how much I love you." And to be said, Lauren was also pregnant at this time. All the calls out were pretty much the same, and they were hijacked by three men who were dark-skinned and maybe Iranian. Cece Lyles was a flight attendant and left a message to her husband at 9:47. I have a message of that one. Have that phone call.
Tuesday, 9:47 a.m.
Hi, baby. Baby, you have to listen to me carefully. I'm on a plane that's been hijacked. I'm on the plane. I'm calling from the plane. Want to tell you I love you. Please tell my children that I love them very much. And I'm so sorry, babe. I don't know what to say. There's three guys. They've hijacked the plane. I'm trying to be calm. We're turned around, and I've heard that there's planes that's been flown into the World Trade Center. I hope to be able to see your face again, baby. I love you. Bye.
End of message.
So that was Cece Lyles.
Oh my gosh.
So another flight attendant called her husband to say that she was heating water to throw at the hijackers.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. At 9:53, Elizabeth Wanio called her stepmother, and near the end of the call, she said that she had to go because they were going to break into the cockpit, and then she said, "I love you." At 9:57 on United Flight 93, and the passengers are ready to take their fate into their own hands and stand up for themselves. This was a vote that they were to act or not. They made a vote, and I guess they're acting. The vote was to strike.
Yeah.
Zayed started to roll the plane left and right to try to get the revolting passengers to off balance.
Mm-hmm.
At 9:58, Zayed told another hijacker, "They want to get in here. Hold from the inside. Hold." And at 9:59, Zayed saw he set the plane to go side to side, and that wasn't working. So he decided to pitch the nose up and down. So he was just trying to get them all off balance.
Yeah.
The voice recorder heard the sounds of the revolt. There was crashing, screaming, and shattering of glass and plates. There were sounds just like outside the cockpit of the moans of the hijacker that suggested that he was being attacked by the passengers. The two hijackers in the cockpit were recorded in a conversation at this time. One asked, "Is that it? Shall we finish it off?" The other one responded, "No, not yet. When they all come, we will finish it off." Zayed started to dip the nose up and down again. The passengers could be heard in the background, "In the cockpit. If we don't, we'll die. Then roll it." This was referring to the food cart to be used as a battering ram. At 10:01, Zayed stopped with the maneuvers and started to recite the takbir, which is an Arabic phrase, "God is the greatest." At this time, one hijacker said, "Is that it? I mean, shall we put it down?" The other replied, "Yes, put it in and pull it down." So that means that they're going, take it down.
God is great. God doesn't want you killing people,
I know.
innocent people.
Yep. But they believe in Islam that, they believe in a different like,
What, to kill people?
well, it's not about killing people. It's like people who are fight against,
For all you know, there's people on there. Like it's just,
infidels on their land and stuff like that. So
fuck.
the final words that were recorded was in a calm voice in English saying, "Pull it up," which was probably that they got into the cockpit to pull it up, but it was probably too late at that time. The plane then crashed into a field in Stony Creek, Pennsylvania. They were about 20 minutes from their destination of Washington, D.C. 10:03 was the last recorded data from the flight recorder. There were disagreements between the families on board and the 9/11 Commission. The families believed that they had breached the cockpit and a fight ensued and the plane was taken down, while the Commission say that there was no breach, but may have been seconds away from entering the cockpit. Because you heard voices saying, a calm voice saying, "Pull it down, pull it up," or whatever. That means that they could have been in the cockpit, but the Commission
I think they got in.
I sure hope they did. Vice President Dick Cheney authorized Flight 93 to be shot down, but once he learned of the crash, he said, "I think an act of heroism just took place on that plane." Near Indian Lake, the plane crashed in a field near a reclaimed coal mine strip. The 757 plane had about 4,600 to 5,800 gallons of fuel left on board, which exploded into a fireball that scorched the nearby grove. The National Transportation Safety Board, or NTSB, reported that the plane made impact at 563 miles per hour at a 40-degree angle. The impact left a crater 8 to 10 feet deep and about 30 to 35 feet wide. The coroner reported that everyone on board had died at the time of the crash due to blunt force trauma. The crash occurred at 10:06 a.m. From the seismic graph data in the area, the Commission reported that the actual time was 10:03 when the recorder stopped. But in the end, 3 minutes doesn't really matter. Lives were lost, and that's what we should be focused on.
Yeah.
The only known witness to the crash was resident Nevin Lambert, who stated that he saw the plane upside down as it crashed into a 45-degree nosedive.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's...
To me, they got in.
Yeah, I sure hope they did. And
I think they got in, and they're trying to take control.
I sure hope they did. They got a few punches in before they died or something,
Oh, they would have.
Most people who were witness to the plane heading towards the ground didn't actually see it crash, but saw the large fireball that followed. At 10:37, CNN correspondent Aaron Brown, who was covering the collapse of the World Trade Center, announced that they were getting reports of another plane that crashed in Pennsylvania, and remains unconfirmed at this point. At 10:49, CNN reported that a large plane crashed north of Somerset County Airport in Pennsylvania. They didn't know which airline it was, and that they didn't have any details at this point. Upon the recovery of all the human remains that were found, there were within a 70-acre area surrounding the crash. They identified 1,500 pieces of human remains totaling 600 pounds. And to put that into perspective, that's only 8% of the total weight.
Yeah.
Investigators found a knife concealed in a cigarette lighter. They located the flight data recorder and on September 13th and the cockpit voice recorder the following day. Access to the voice recordings were played for the families of the victims in a closed session on April 18th, 2002, but the audio recordings have never been released to the public as per request to the loved ones. The passengers and crew, obviously not the hijackers, were nominated for the Congressional Gold Medal on September 19th, 2001. They were all granted the medal on September 11th, 2014. The medal is inscribed with a common field one day, a field of honor forever. The reverse of the medal features 40 stars in honor of the passengers and crew. The intended target for Flight 93 was never known, but it was suggested that the United States Capitol or White House were the targets. The Capitol was most likely because of the belief of the hijackers. They wanted to disrupt the financial district of the U.S., but the White House would probably not have been a target if that was the intention.
I don't know which one they would have went for.
No, I think it was people say White House, people say the Capitol building, but it doesn't really matter. It was taken down beforehand. There was an exchange just days before the attack saying that the White House could be intended target and the Capitol as a backup. It all depended where they were.
Yeah.
But that's just all talk, and the real target was never known. Like, I personally think it was the U.S. Capitol building, but that's just me.
I don't know. The people on the flight, by their revolt, they saved so many lives.
Yeah. And honestly, too, if the president was in the White House and they're going for the president, knowing that a plane's on their way in that direction, they would have taken him out of there.
I think the president wasn't even there.
No. Well, he was actually at that school, remember?
Right.
Yeah. So I talked about the orders to take down the jet, and the fighter pilots were deployed, and yes, there were 2 in the air, but they were not able to arm the jets before takeoff.
So Dick Cheney ordered the shoot down, but they weren't even armed.
They weren't even armed. So the orders were to ram the plane. They never made it to the plane because it already crashed in the field.
So they wanted their fighter jet to hit the plane?
Yeah.
So they were supposed to... So they turned those guys into a suicide mission?
No, they would probably take off, like hit the abort button, whatever. Like, what's that thing? That eject.
Abort.
The eject.
Yeah.
They probably ejected the air, like have it on course for the plane, then eject out. That would be my guess. So the attack on United Flight 93 took the lives of 40 innocent people, but it could have been a lot worse if the plane had reached their destination or even reached the city, for that matter, right? It hit a field. So for the men and women who fought back and by risking their own lives, by making their ultimate sacrifice, are heroes, and their friends and families should be very proud, and their names should be engraved forever. So, yeah, this is probably going to do it for this episode. And the next episode is the finale. I'll be talking about the conspiracies and the aftermath as well. There's a lot in that one. And about the people who lost their lives that day and the worst tragedy on American soil.
I'm just falling apart.
I know you are. That's probably a good spot to end it because I don't think you last anymore.
I'm just thinking about those people and what they went through.
Oh, I know. It's pretty bad. Like,
It's so scary.
They were heroes because, like, if they did not do that and let them, hit the city, there could have been way more lives lost. Like, they made the ultimate sacrifice for everybody. So that's gonna do it for this episode because Denise is.
I'm just falling.
She's out of control now.
I don't have pretty cry. I have ugly cry.
Yeah, so we're going to get into the conspiracies and aftermath. Like, there's a lot going on in the aftermath. There's a lot in the conspiracies. I didn't say all the conspiracies, but the main ones.
There's so many.
There's so many. And yeah, I think that's going to do it for us today.
My heart goes out to all that have passed.
Yeah, 100%. And so, with that being said, the world's not always as it seems.
No, it's not.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.